for the second video in the series of my high-risk pregnancies. This video, I will say, is probably going to be a little bit longer. It kind of has a story behind it, and it's a little bit more complicated than my previous story with preeclampsia. So if you hear any like screaming, Liam is down here and he's in a great mood, but he just isn't ready for a nap yet, and Raylan's out in the living room watching a movie while I try to get this video done real quick. So my first video was on preeclampsia, and this second video is with my labor. What are they barking at? It's crazy dogs. The second video is actually about my high-risk pregnancy with Liam, and I had a blood clotting disorder, or I have a blood clotting disorder. So the blood clotting disorder that I have is factor V. It's an inherited blood clotting disorder due to a mutation of the blood's factor V protein. So basically, what it is, and a little bit more in depth, is I'm reading off of like a thing here. I know what it is, but I don't want to say anything wrong. It increases the chance of blood clots developing, which could be life-threatening. Women with the disorder risk developing blood clots during pregnancy. So basically, I found out I had this blood clotting disorder after my pregnancy with Raylan. I actually found out, I want to say maybe a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now. Yeah, it's almost been 2 years. So basically what happened is 2 years ago, everything was fine, and all of a sudden I started getting chest pains and back pains, and it got to the point where it felt like my whole body was like tightening up. Basically, it was a crazy situation. I went to the doctor multiple times, ended up in the ER, and then I had a week stay at the hospital because it turned out I had a pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot in my lungs. So through all that testing, I found out that I actually had the genetic mutation of factor V, and yes, so basically from then on, you know, a doctor really couldn't give me an answer basically on whether or not it was safe to get pregnant again or yada yada yada. I didn't really have a lot of background, I guess you could say, but the one doctor that I did talk to about it said it'd be fine. I just had to be on blood thinners. When I got pregnant with Liam, it was kind of like a very immediate thing. Pal and I were trying to get pregnant, but we had no idea we were going to get pregnant that quickly. We expected to get pregnant like over the winter. We ended up getting pregnant the first time that we tried, like within the first month. So it was kind of a scramble, and I guess I should have had all my ducks in a row to begin with. But basically, what I had to do was go into my doctor as soon as I could, and I was put on blood thinners. So the blood thinners I was taking was Lovenox shots. It's completely safe during pregnancy. It's the safest one that they have, and it's a shot that you have to inject in your stomach. So I had to do it twice a day because my blood clot had been so recent. I did have to go to a high-risk doctor from the beginning, which I already knew anyways, and I probably would have had to even without this disorder, just because of my complications with Raylan. So I already expected that, and basically my treatment was pretty much no different than anyone else. You know, they did keep a closer eye on me, because one of the big complications during pregnancy that you can have if you do have a clotting disorder is that if for some reason the blood thinners aren't working the way that they should be, blood supply to the baby can potentially not be what it should be. So essentially I had to get a lot more ultrasounds than people normally would, because they had to keep checking on him to make sure he was growing properly, which would signal that blood was getting to him the way that it should be. Yes, and here you are, and you are fine. You're fine. That's pretty much the gist of how easy the beginning part of my pregnancy was. I didn't have any sort of complications. Then I got to around 32 or 34 weeks, and he actually wasn't growing the way that he should have been. What that was basically signaling is that my body was basically working really, really hard to try to get him the blood that he needed, but because of my clotting disorder, my blood just wasn't moving the way that it should have, and he wasn't quite getting enough. So from then on out, it was kind of scary. They had to order me NSTs that I had to do twice a week. Basically, it's the same thing I told you in the previous videos. An NST basically, this time, because it was a little bit later, things had, I guess, gotten a lot more modern. I basically sat in a chair and I had 2 monitors on, one monitored the heartbeat and one monitor for contractions, and I could see it up on the screen, and basically if he had nice fluctuations but he wasn't going too high or too low in his heartbeat and movement, he was totally fine. But that was a good indicator once again of if he was happy and getting what he needed, because if he wasn't moving the way he should have been, that could indicate that there was a problem. I also had to, after that, twice a week go and get an ultrasound, just a quick one, to make sure that my fluid levels were fine. Basically, he just had to be monitored very, very closely because his limbs weren't quite growing the way that they needed to. His measurements were kind of all over the place, so they were a little bit concerned. There was at one point where I had to sit on the monitor for about an hour and a half with Powell. I think I was only 36 weeks, and me and him were like panic attacking the whole entire time. You just want to talk about it too. Say, I was there. I was there, Mommy, I know. That was me in there. That was me. So basically, one of the times that we went in there, he was not very active. And they told me that around 36, 37 weeks, because he was getting so big and needed so much, there was a high chance that, you know, he would have to be taken out early just because my body was doing what it could, but it could only do so much. And around the 36 week mark, I was, I think, a couple days away from 37 weeks. Basically, you know, we were sitting there and I had watched his fluctuations twice a week from 32 weeks, I think, on. And so I was used to what it looked like, and he just wasn't really moving. His heart rate wasn't jumping like it should have been. You know, he didn't have any movements at all, and it was just very still, and it was a very scary moment. You know, the person who does the NSTs ended up having to go get a doctor, but ironically enough, the doctor had already seen it and was worried and came by themselves, and they made me sit there to make sure, because if he didn't move in like the next, I think it was like 30 minutes, I would have to go to the hospital. So, you know, I'm really lucky because a couple minutes later, he decided to go absolutely crazy. So that was really, really good, but you know, I was just really lucky to not have any complications. The Lovenox shots did awesome. I did not like having to inject them into my stomach twice a day. It did not feel good. It left bruises. My stomach was just not a cute thing when I was pregnant, which sucks because that's like, you want a cute little belly. So that was kind of unfortunate, but, you know, honestly, it was like the best option that I had, and as long as it kept us safe, obviously, I was fine with it. So when it comes to natural delivery or induction with this type of disorder, you don't have to be induced, but if you want an epidural, it's probably your best option. So the Lovenox that I took, you know, you had to be off it for at least 24 to 48 hours in order to get your blood levels to normal, so you didn't basically bleed internally or hemorrhage when you got an epidural. So they decided to go ahead and induce me at 39 weeks. If I were to get pregnant again, I definitely would not choose an induction again. I talked about this in my labor and delivery video a couple videos back. I will have that link down below. So basically, I stopped taking my shot, I think it was the morning before I was induced. So I was induced on a Thursday, a Wednesday, a Thursday. Honestly, I have no idea. I think I was induced on a Wednesday. I was induced on a Wednesday morning. So I stopped taking the shot Tuesday morning, and then Wednesday morning when I went in, they had to test my blood levels to make sure that everything had gone back to normal, because what I was saying with my preeclampsia video before, if your blood platelets are low, you're more likely to bleed very badly. And that's essentially what blood thinners do, is they lower your platelets. So they had to make sure they were fine, so I didn't just, you know, bleed everywhere when they went to give me my epidural. You know, but other than that, labor went totally normal from there. There weren't any other differences or changes. The only thing is, as soon as I was done, I think it was 12 hours after birth, I had to start my Lovenox shots again, because when you are pregnant, you do have a higher risk of getting blood clots already, and then on top of my condition, you have a higher risk of getting blood clots, but it's after you have the baby that your risk is actually the largest. So basically, I had to be put on blood thinners again. I had to take them for 6 weeks, I want to say. That's usually the standard time that you would take them, and honestly, everything went perfectly fine. You know, it's very scary, and it's, you know, it's not something that, you know, I was lucky this time, it's definitely not something I think I would take a chance on again, because you just don't know. Even healthy people get blood clots after pregnancy, and you know, you can die from it, and that's horrifying. And so, you know, I'll make a whole entire video on if we're gonna have more kids because of my condition or not. So that's a whole separate video, but you know, I was really, really lucky with him. It's just, I got really mixed, I guess, opinions from a bunch of different doctors, whether it was, you know, safe to have another kid, safe to have him or not. You know, some people acted like it was a death sentence, some people acted like it was literally no big deal. So, you know, I feel like still to this day I don't really have a huge grasp on it. So I am very, very lucky everything went well. I don't know if I would ever risk it again, because I do want to be here for my babies, obviously. But it was very, very scary. And, you know, when I went and looked on YouTube, the second I found out that I had this disorder, the second I found out, like, can I get pregnant again? Like, can I even have any more babies? I came on YouTube. That was the first thing that I did. And I didn't find any videos. There's not a single video on, you know, having a blood disorder and being pregnant, especially not the one that I have, or, you know, taking these shots while pregnant. I think I only found like one other person or two other people who had to take blood thinning shots, but for different reasons. So I really wanted to get this video out there because I feel like a lot of people just, you know, they don't have anywhere to turn, and it's very scary. It's very, very scary to, you know, find out that you do have a blood clotting disorder and then wonder, like, as young as I am, like, can I even have any more kids? And then what it's going to be like throughout your whole entire pregnancy. You know, I feel like your emotions can get the best of you, and you can get very, very terrified, and it's not a fun feeling at all. So, you know, I just kind of want to be an example out there that it can be okay. You know, like, I took my medicine properly. You got to really work with your doctors to make sure, like, they're aware of your situation, make sure your medicine's at the right level, keep getting your blood tested to make sure it's doing what it should be doing, and, you know, make a plan. So I hope this is helpful to somebody. I know it wasn't, like, the most interesting story ever, but that's not really the point of it. I just really wanted to put some information out there because I struggled so badly, you know, trying to find someone who was going through what I was going through. So I really hope I can be that person for somebody out there who may be horrified and trying to find just a little tiny bit of information and see how it went for someone else. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and do not forget to go check out all the links down below. We do have a vlogging channel where we used to vlog every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but now we are just vlogging whenever we please. So you should definitely see more videos from us on that channel, plus all of our social medias down below. And I also always tag our last video down below. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe. Give me a big thumbs up because it really, really helps my channel. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!